Hey everyone, welcome back to the Weekly Awakening Podcast. This is your host, Cosmic Colleen, back with another weekly astrology update. This is episode 266. Guys, before I say what the astrology transits are for this week, I want to say last week, I must have still been lost in that Mercury-Jupiter conjunction in Gemini because I really and literally thought there were only 2 weeks left in June, not 3. I kept merging last week and this week in my head. And last week I said that Cancer season was happening last week when it was actually happening this coming week. And I skipped literally the 12th through the 19th. Like it didn't even exist. And I realized it about 15 minutes after I had already posted this episode. And I was like, oh my God, wait, there's a whole other week in June. I just like merged 2 weeks together. What happened? And what's funny about that is that I had done it like a few days prior, which with a bunch of different things. I thought that a wedding I was going to was the weekend earlier, like all these things. And people are like, no, Colleen, it's this date. So that Jupiter-Mercury conjunction in Gemini definitely still had my mind like elsewhere in the other ethers somewhere in this universe. So I apologize. Cancer season does not start till this Thursday. I don't know what I was thinking. And I'd already been like 15, 20 minutes after I posted it. And I was like, I can't even go back and fix or change that. I just didn't have the mental energy at the time. But now I'm back together. Now I'm reorganized. And just as, like I said, as soon as Jupiter entered Cancer, I've been sleeping much better. Thank you, Lord. I'm not joking. I'm naturally a good sleeper. I have a moon in the first house. Sleep is extremely important to me, and it's the only time I'm cranky is if I don't get sleep. And it's been the worst year of sleep I've had since Jupiter entered Gemini. The worst. And it was all around staying up. Like I would wake up to go to the bathroom. Usually I can go right to sleep. No, and my brain would just go and go and go and go. And it wasn't even worrisome thoughts. It was just all kinds of thoughts. It was pretty wild. So I'm happy to be sleeping again. Anyway, let's talk about this week's transit. So this week on June 20th, this week, people, not next week. I mean, last week we began Cancer season, 10:42 p.m. East Coast time. Remember all the times they give you our East Coast times. June 17th. I think I also said that was happening. I can't believe I merged these 2 weeks last week. So really June 17th of this week, tomorrow Mars enters Virgo at 4:35 a.m. Sunday, June 22nd, Mars and Virgo will sextile Jupiter in Cancer. Sunday, June 22nd, the Sun in Cancer will square Saturn in Aries. Monday, the 23rd, Sun in Cancer will square Neptune in Aries. On Tuesday, the 24th, Sun in Cancer will conjunct Jupiter. Then we have a new moon in Cancer on Wednesday. So first, let's talk about Mars entering Virgo. So Aries, Scorpio, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces, you guys will be feeling this transit the most. But now let's talk about the general of this transit. Now that we're coming out of the Mars retrograde officially, we are finally starting a new storyline. The Mars retrograde chapter has officially closed. Yes, we've been out of Mars retrograde, like I explained last week, for quite some time now, but not really until Mars moved out of Leo were we really out of that retrograde energy. So now Mars is entering Virgo. We're officially out of there. So when it comes to action and the action that we need to take, we are going to start organizing and getting ourselves together and not feel so lost as we did during Mars retrograde. So we're going to be making lists. Again, very Mars and Virgo. If any of you listening has Mars and Virgo, you know what I'm talking about. Making PowerPoints, charts, reorganizing our home, decluttering, coming up with an action plan, but like a very drawn out, like you're actually writing things down, you're drawing out the action plan, you're coming up with what you need to do to get the things done that you want to get done. You're coming up with that action plan, with the new storyline. You know what you want your new life storyline to be, and now that action plan is coming together. We're going to have strong energy when it comes to taking action and executing our thoughts and our ideas. With Mars in Virgo, you'll have a lot, like I said, of mental energy and sharp energy and just the clarity you need to get the actions done. So we're going to show up in life with a lot of mental energy, a sharp mental energy in our day-to-day. We are definitely going to be making a lot of headway with cleaning up our daily home and our work environments. I just really love this transit for having a lot of mental energy, like I said, and seeing through bullshit. seeing through the bullshit, straight through it. You're going to see through the bullshit, your own bullshit, the bullshit in your surroundings, the bullshit of people you know, seeing straight through it. Lots of clarity in getting things done with clear direction. This, for my Virgo placements, can have you giving a little extra attitude. However, it's like attitude with a purpose. It's like Pretty Woman when she walks in there after, they didn't want to sell her those clothes and everything. That sort of action. So now let's talk Cancer season a little bit more than we did last week. Mars enters Virgo. It will trine Jupiter in Cancer. So like I said about getting your home environment in shape, this even more so will be happening. There will be a new positive habit when it comes to your spiritual, soulful beliefs. And you will be reorganizing your space and decluttering. And it will give you the instant feeling of peace and relaxation. Now with Mars entering Virgo. And then there's the trine. Then it will sit there and Mars will enter Virgo. I'm sorry, a sextile. I don't know why I said trine. A sextile to Cancer. And you're going to start realizing, if I want my mind decluttered, I better declutter my home. I better declutter my car or my workspace or my office space. You're going to realize that your mind doesn't feel relaxed, your energy doesn't feel relaxed, and that most likely is because you have clutter and all kinds of other shit laying around. Everything is energy. Every single thing is moving at a high speed of rate is energy. And so the things in our home environment, the things in the environments we frequent often carry a lot of energy. And if you don't believe me, I know most of you are aware of this, though. Why is it that when you just simply clean your environment, why do you feel better? Why do you feel better when you walk into a room and the bed is made? Those are energy because things do have its place. It took me a long time to realize that, but things do have the place. So you this week will be getting your environment ready and realizing, part of taking action and part of getting that action plan lifted off the ground is going to be making sure that my environments give me the feeling of peace, relaxation, understanding, somewhere where you really need to relax your energy in order to get things done. With this transit, we're getting, like I said, our home environment, workplace, creative room, decluttered, bringing a new, fresh energy right before the new moon in Jupiter. So definitely get that open. That creative energy will start flowing. Now, remember, this sextile is a promise, okay? A sextile is a promise. A trine is the grand delivery. So it's the promise for you and your life to show up daily in this energy, at least for the time being, because the planets are always changing and shifting, and new parts of our birth chart are activated and new parts of our life show up in certain ways. But for now, and for the summer solstice, for this next 6 months, this is kicking off. How do you want to live? How do you want to take action? But how do you need to get organized? How do you need to get your mind organized, your life organized? And again, a lot of that actually starts in the home environment. If our home environment or our car or workplace is a mess, how are we supposed to get things in our life path, our daily life organized? They're not going to. So take this time to really get your home environments organized. The Sun and Jupiter are going to be conjunct in Cancer, starting this Cancer season out. I'm jumping ahead right now because we do have, like I said, the Sun in Cancer square Saturn and Aries before the Jupiter and Sun conjunction. But let's start with the really positive. Like I said on last week's episode, for my Cancer placements, you and my water signs, Scorpio, Pisces, as well as Sagittarius, this is going to be bringing a nice positive shift to your life path. Capricorn, you will be feeling this as well, but it will feel easy, but more so like you got the breakthrough that you needed to get, because this is happening in the opposition. All the other ones, it'll feel like effortlessly things are shifting, but for my Capricorns, it's going to be like you're really finally breaking through. Something is making sense to you. Sometimes that can feel a little bit rough, but this is actually going to be very, very positive. Trust that breakthrough. We all will be feeling this transit, but those placements I had just mentioned will be feeling this the biggest, the loudest. It'll be showing up in your life the biggest and the loudest. So here is what those placements above will be feeling or happening in their life, and the rest of you guys couldn't too. Just look to see what birth chart is, where in your birth chart is Cancer, where in your birth chart is Sagittarius, and the planet Jupiter, the moon, to get a better idea of how this shows up. So growth in the workplace, or growing success with a business. That's exciting. And then we're just kicking off. Remember, Jupiter's in Cancer for a year. Positive turn of fate or luck when it comes to your life path. growth in the home environment, more faith. Y'all remember from last week's episode, have faith. Having faith again, especially where it's been previously lacking. Spiritual retreats are really aligning your path with spiritual practices or teachings, saying, okay, this is the life path I want after you declutter, and now I want to align it back with teachings again. Maybe going to meditation classes, yoga classes, maybe meeting with groups and doing shamanic drumming or sweat lodges. Any of those things you're going to start getting a habit with. More abundance on your life path, hopefully more money, but remember, abundance always doesn't mean money, but we should always be grateful for any abundance that comes our way. But again, it doesn't always mean money. However, I'm wishing all of you that are listening lots of money. Feeling more joy on your life path, more open to receiving love, happiness in general, the energy of being open and ready to receive and accept intimacy and love. And I don't just mean that sexual intimacy and love. It's also just the intimacy when we hug a family member, when we share with our friend, just those intimate acts. I feel like right now in our world, we're all so closed up. We're all so scared. And I just want to blame all that shit on the internet, and it is mostly that, but you will be feeling ready to be open, not so scared of connecting. We all need to come together and connect again. Everyone is so scared of connection. It's really kind of crazy. And again, I blame that one on the internet, but that's a whole other episode. Good luck when buying a home and searching for land or home, like having good luck. I'm not telling you good luck. There will be good luck when it comes to shifting your home environments, wanting to move, moving in with someone, moving out away from someone, like more buying a home, getting land, getting a second property. For those signs, there is good luck within your path, and things should work out smoothly if that's what it's meant to be. Some of you maybe didn't listen to last week's episode, but definitely do that, where I break down the meaning of Cancer, the zodiac sign of Cancer, and Jupiter, and what does that planet rule over, what does it mean, so you can have a deeper understanding of this transit. And this will be, again, a year-long transit. So now, and then it will happen one more time next year. Actually, I don't think so. Will we? Actually, no, I had just realized, I think Jupiter moves out of Cancer on the 26th. So this will be the one and only, Jupiter will be conjunct all of your Cancer suns, will be in Cancer for a year, but the actual sun currently in Cancer and Jupiter in Cancer will only conjunct once, and it is going to be next week. So now, let's talk about the sun in Cancer square Saturn in Aries, which is going to be a little bit harder, but don't fret too much. Like I said, because we got a beautiful Jupiter sun conjunction. We got the new moon in Cancer. So whatever funky stuff that comes up Sunday, Monday, it will easily move out of its way very, very soon. So like I said, we got the sun in Cancer square Saturn in Aries, and then the sun will square Neptune in Aries, which is happening on Sunday the 22nd and Monday the 23rd. Now, Saturn and Neptune are not totally conjunct, but basically they are. They're 1 to 2 degrees away, and it'll be like that for months. And then they will have an exact conjunction in early 2026. However, when you're this close, there is this conjunction dance. They're within any conjunction is considered within 3 degrees on either side of the exact conjunction. So there's this interesting energetic dance that is going to be playing for for all summer between Saturn and Neptune. So, but this is the only time during this summer that there will be a square to that. The signs that will be feeling this transit the most will be cardinal signs: Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, plus Pisces, Scorpio. This transit is going to be felt in a few different ways. Feeling pressures at home or the workplace, and they feel like they are really being pushed onto you, or that the pressures or issues you are expressing are being ignored or made to feel like they're no big deal, or like they're just not hearing you. They're just not mentally understanding what you're saying you need. Hold on tight, though, because, like I said, with Jupiter-Sun conjunction, the answers and the truth are going to be busted wide open. With Jupiter in Cancer, it's like the truth is just flowing. The truth comes out. The abundance, the growth that Jupiter brings, there's also truth with Jupiter. And in Cancer, it's just like, boom, there's going to be a lot of truth coming, but it's going to be that positive truth that at the end of it, everyone's feeling good. Feeling like you're trying to break through to someone on an emotional level, but it's not going anywhere. Again, this will get a little bit better with the Jupiter-Sun conjunction and then the new moon in Gemini. This is a transit where you want to watch your words because you may say something, tell someone something where you just say too much. You tell too much of the plan, you tell too much of the truth, and someone isn't ready to hear it yet. This is one for loose lips. So if you catch yourself gossiping or you catch yourself talking to a boss or something, be like, okay, don't say too much, tell yourself that because it's a transit that could definitely happen. If you get into an argument, it may not make sense, your argument actually. However, you may think it will make sense, but you might find out later that you weren't making sense, or the other person will find out later they were not making sense. And in the end, the truth will come out. And like I said, this is a truthful energy. And what I meant by someone's not ready to hear the truth, this transit alone, you may say something that's too truthful. They're upset about it. And then a few days later, when we have the new moon in Cancer, maybe they'll get over it and accept the truth. But for the first 2 days, there may not be this okay, I accept that truth. This is also a transit where maybe your faith is challenged by someone else or your own voice inside your head. Remember, often our own faith is often challenged by us, not the other person. And if you look even deeper, it's never the other person, it's only us. There was an old, no one can make you feel something that you don't already feel within yourself. And that's an old saying in NA, but it's very, very true. You'd say you can't see something in someone else that you don't already see in yourself first. I used to get so pissed off of that, especially if I didn't like someone and I would be telling my sponsor, telling someone who I didn't like them, and they'd be like, well, you can't be annoyed, with someone else if you didn't already see that in yourself. And I'd be like, fuck you. But it was true. I didn't want to see it, but, oh, okay, maybe that is really how I'd show up. So, like I said, after this transit, we have the Jupiter-Sun conjunction and then the new moon in Cancer with Jupiter there. I'm really looking forward to next week's new moon. It's going to be a beautiful new moon once we get past this weekend, but this weekend's still going to be good too. Once we get past, and then it's going to be 2 weeks, we're going to be riding that new moon Jupiter-Sun conjunction. It's going to be really, really positive, and things are going to be growing quickly with this transit too. This whole year, Jupiter in Cancer, there's going to be a lot of things that come on strong. The growth happens very, very quick. You don't even see it or realize it's coming. I will release next week's episode about the new moon on Monday, I promise you guys. But these are the transits leading up to next week's new moon. The weekly awakening needs to be, like I said, the weekly awakening this week needs to be, how do we keep a joyful mindset when it's been raining for 5 fucking days straight a week? Straight through spring. Today is June 16th in the Philadelphia area, and it's 65 degrees and raining here. I'm feeling it too. I know all of us are feeling it in this area because literally straight through spring, I don't remember if maybe we had 5 to 7 sunny days, but all of May, all of June was literally 58 to not even 70 degrees 5 days a week. I'm not joking, with rain and clouds. And it is definitely getting on my clients' nerves. It's getting on the collective's nerves up here. And I don't think it's us. I'm pretty sure it's all of Pennsylvania, Delaware, New Jersey, New York. It's all like that. The sun will come out though. Sometimes I feel like it's going to be a rainy spring, summer. We have not had one in years. Definitely not since COVID. The last 5 years we've had beautiful, beautiful summers, but it's just been, I think we're going to have a rainy one. I'm sorry, we need the rain too, but at least it could be hot and rain, right? Can we at least have 85, 90 degrees weather and rain? So, like I said on last week's Weekly Awakening, have faith. Keep the faith. The rain is going to stop. The rain will stop one day and the sun will come out. We have the summer solstice this Saturday, the 21st. And the one thing about the summer solstice and the winter solstice is now we're going to miss it for these next 3 days because it's going to be cloudy. We literally, this week will be the brightest week of the entire year. The sun will be out the longest. And so the winter solstice, some of you know, some of you maybe don't know, it marks the darkest night of the year. And then each day we get a minute towards sunlight. I actually really kind of love the winter solstice more than I like the summer in some ways, because now the summer solstice on the 21st will be the brightest night of the year. However, we then begin our descent into darkness, which is crazy. Then we lose a minute every day starting on June 21st. So reflect, though. I love it as a time of reflection. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Am I going to do something spiritual and soulful? I have something going on the following weekend that's spiritual and soulful. Or am I going to take my kids down to AC and where there's a water park? I don't know yet what I'm doing. Both sound like it's perfect for the summer solstice. But either way, this weekend, take time, sit with yourself. You know, I love like a 6-month manifestation. You can do 3 months, 6 months. Reflect back from the winter solstice. Maybe you did notes, or maybe you can just sit in your mind and reflect, what did I accomplish this winter solstice, these last 6 months? What does my life look like? Where have I gained? Where have I lost? Where have I, not been open? Where do I need to be more open? And then with this, take those reflections and see where you needed to work on some things. See where you need to let go for some things. But really, this summer solstice, now it's time to harness the lessons of the winter solstice of the first 6 months of the year. And it's time to grow with those lessons for the second 6 months of the year, right? We're already halfway through 2025. That is nuts to me again, halfway through. So where do you need to grow? Where do you need to change? Where do you need to shift? Where do you need to accept? And where do you need to honor acceptance, intimacy, and let the good things flow within you? I maybe told you guys this, but something I want you guys to do, especially with this new moon, with the Jupiter in Cancer, is I have, when I wake up, so I see it every day, I have it written on a billboard, or not a billboard, I should, on a little, one of those little board things you write on. And it says, come from an open-hearted place today, Colleen. And honestly, I try to start my day out like that. And if I'm in the moment, in the heat of the moment with someone, or I'm doing something that I'm not sure if it's right or wrong, I say that to myself. Come from an open-hearted place today. So with all of these transits this week, with Jupiter in Cancer, it is allowing us to open that abundance, to accept, receive, and give love. And I don't necessarily mean romantic. There's all kinds. There's loving thy neighbor, loving the person you don't agree with, right? Loving the person you don't agree with. We need that more than ever in today's world. And stop letting the news and the propaganda get you all. The news is just doing nothing but separating people. It's either this group against this group, and this group against this group, and this group against this group. I can't even stand it. It's all the Matrix. It's all, sorry, I was going off about it with a friend earlier before I got on this podcast. So all I'm going to say, come from an open-hearted place. All right? It's time to open, to give, and to receive love and intimacy. I love you all. Have a fabulous week, and I'll be back next week.